Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 328, I'm very lucky, privileged to have Leigh Matheson on the podcast today. He is the founder of MagicTree Superfoods Limited. How are you today, sir?
Very good. Happy to be on. Looking forward to a good conversation.
Ah, you know what? I have to ask. Now, having a look at your sort of past, how does someone who starts off as an analyst gets to being a founder of, a superfood company?
Good question. Do a lot of stumbling and just following opportunities. I think. Yeah. So my background kind of grew up in Chinkford, so kind of working middle classy more working class to be honest background. Mum was a nurse. Dad worked in the post office. I didn't really have any entrepreneurial direct influences, but dad was always big on saving, big on investment.
Mhm.
So that was always instilled from a very young age. Um, so in terms of the analyst route, I was kind of just good at numbers, liked maths. So followed that through school, followed that through university, and then did a placement when I was at university. A guy said it was about investing in hedge funds at the time. So a guy said he likes investing in graveyards, and I was like, oh, that's a bit rogue. and he said,
Wow.
and he said the tenants never leave, and I was like, oh, I guess they don't. I guess they don't. so
When you were having this conversation, were you standing next to a mirror of some kind? Just want to know
that,
if you had
that,
a reflection.
this was in the office. And then that's what made me kind of get into finance, real estate. So I was doing that, but I'd always wanted to start a business. So yeah, one day my dad told me to eat some moringa seeds, and I was like, okay, what are these things? He'd brought them back from the Caribbean. Um, so I ate them, and then he said they give you energy. So I was doing my morning workouts, and I was like, oh, actually, I don't need to eat breakfast with these moringa seeds because they're giving me the energy. So then uh, tried to kind of put two and two together. We were just coming out of COVID at the time. Health was a big thing. I was never actually that big into the diet side of health. I was always really big into fitness. I'd done
Mhm.
karate for 15 years. But my rationale was, if you're exercising, you can eat what you want. That's kind of the background I was coming from, which I now know is completely untrue. But so yeah, the moringa seeds or the natural supplements was kind of my gateway into actually understanding health and developing a passion for it. Because yeah, my background was economics, finance, and then slowly transitioned, started slow, and then that kind of kick-started a journey of doing 3 years of research into all different types of herbs, how the body works, physiology. Became a naturopath, and yeah, the business has kind of grown organically with that journey. But we can go into more detail. But that's kind of the whistle stop tour of my scattered background.
Yeah, like my God, like you basically went to the promised land of every Caribbean and West African, well, every African like parent. You went into like if it's not engineering, if it's not if it's not architect, lawyer, banking.
Yeah,
And how did your parents take on like the whole sort of like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go into
I'm gonna sack
superfoods.
this in. Yeah, it's a really interesting point you raised there. I think they were very much didn't understand it for the most part in the terms of you've got a stable job, you seem
Yeah.
to be progressing well, you like it, you can travel, and people like you. So why are you leaving? Like what's the catch for this high risk, super stressful, don't know where what next year is going to look like kind of environment. I think dad was definitely more understanding. Like I said, he didn't have his own business or anything, but he was always entrepreneurially minded. He's always been big on investing, was always investing in property and that kind of thing. So he understood the risk I was taking. He might not have necessarily understood e-commerce or the idea of having this digital business that exists beyond you, but he definitely understood the risk I was taking. Mum took a little more persuading, say, or trying to come round to. Um, but yeah, I think she's. I mean, she's still a bit skeptical now, to be honest. She's coming around. day by day.
day by day, one day.
One day.
Yeah, until you show a substantial check or a substantial bank account, that day will never come. It's like,
Until it pays for her granny flat at the edge of
oh, okay.
a garden, I think it will still be, yeah, needs some
Yeah,
convincing.
yeah. Like, one of the things I found interesting with what you said about your dad understood the risk you were taking. Like, one of the things I often find talking to anyone who starts their own business, there, like, there is not so much naivety, but it's like they understand the risks, but they ignore it. Did you understand the risks, what you were doing, or was it a case of I know what's going on and no?
So, yeah, I think you kind of have to be a bit delusional when you go into entrepreneurship. You have to believe you're going to be better than average. You have to believe you're going to be the one to buck the trends, the one to
Hmm.
see the game a bit different. So you're adding some value in some sense. I think my approach, kind of from the outset, was always very measured, very risk averse, you could say, because I used my 9 to 5 to pay for all the kind of startup costs, getting stock, getting a website built. Did a lot myself wherever I could. So yeah, I built my website. I was all very hands on, trying to source suppliers, packing all the stuff myself. So the branding was all done by me. The social media was all done by me. So I think there's kind of two routes into entrepreneurship where you kind of do it my way, where you're like, okay, I'll do everything myself. If the branding is rubbish because I'm not great at branding, so be it. If it can work with rubbish branding, then it will work with great branding, or work even better with great branding. And then you got the other side where it's like, right, I need a glossy website, I need the perfect branding, I need the perfect launch, I need my marketing fully developed 6 months in advance, and of course, all that takes money. Um, and yeah, what I found is the best experience is just to do it, fail, and then adapt. So yeah, because I never really took any crazy risks, it was always all right. I'll invest a few hundred here, see if that works. Oh, okay, I'll invest 1,000, see if that works. Um, and I consciously never stretched myself beyond to the point where, oh, if this fails, it's belly up, back to living at home, and mum would say, "I told you so." So that decision to leave the job was probably the biggest one, where it was like, okay, I'm giving up a proper salary to fend for myself here. Um, but you know, I looked at where I was in life. I was 26 at the time, well, last year. So it was kind of I've got time to bounce back. If I'm, you know, if I go alone and I fail within the first 6 months, I wouldn't be too far out of the industry where I could just jump back in and get another job. Um, and yeah, better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. So same thing applies with entrepreneurship, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those things with regards to entrepreneurship. Like there is all. It's a bit like sliding doors. There's always sort of two like stories being played out. The story where yeah, you just go on with your like 9 to 5, your day to day. It might take you up the corporate ladder. It might take you somewhere else, but you always have this sort of like what if,
Mm.
what if, and like entrepreneurship, if it goes well after the long hours, the hard work, and the sacrifice, it can take you to places which go and above and beyond what the realm of what you're doing right now is. Like for example, let's take Steve Bartlett. Did his like yeah little thing with okay, I'm doing social media, everything like this. Built that agency. Now he's got podcasts, uh, Dragon's Den, and God knows what else. And that was from doing a small idea, somewhat like yourself, and it grew and grew into something substantial. Like, what would you say? Like, what would you say you would like the vision of your entrepreneurial dream? Well, not dream, your company's vision for the future.
Yeah, I think yeah, you raised a good point in terms of the trajectory and growth in or personal growth even in entrepreneurship
Mm,
is a lot more volatile and I'd say accelerated than say climbing the corporate ladder. As in, yeah, I've probably grown more in the last 6 months than I did in the 5 years of working in the corporate job, simply because you're just so you spend most of your time completely out of your depth, or
mhm,
you know, you wake up and you get slapped in the face with something you completely didn't expect, and then you have to you've only got the choice to adapt and react, as opposed to letting your manager handle it, or going to let your colleague pick it up, or it really is you that, and you have to learn, otherwise adapt or die basically. So when that is the landscape every day, you do develop a lot of skills you never even expected to learn. Especially when, if you have, whether you've got a team or not, like I'm my marketing department, my HR department, my inventory department, operations. So you have to wear all those different hats, and even if you did have people working for you, you still have to manage those different departments. So
Mm.
yeah, operating a business, your growth is not linear, not to be expected. So what that has taught me, I don't really plan more than 6 months in advance anymore. It's kind of, all right, what's the immediate goals for the next 3 months? Where would we like to be in 6 months? There's the vision of where I'd like to be. That's based
Mhm.
more on ideals than actual information in front of me. Because the other thing I've learned is the market shifts so quickly as well. If you forecast something to continue to grow, and then it just changes, it can derail everything. Whereas if you're only 6 months, you can kind of see 6 months in the future. Beyond that, it gets very difficult, with especially the acceleration of growth now, with the AI coming in, with social media apps changing their algorithms so frequently. It's really difficult. So yeah, the big vision for MagicTree would be to be able to help as many people as possible, to be honest. I mean, the thing that really motivates me or makes me want to grow the business beyond something that's just a nice business for me to something that's a massive business with investors and things is when you get messages from customers saying, they couldn't get out of bed, but now they feel so much better about going about their day, or even small things. If it was, I couldn't get out of bed, but now I'm able to go for a walk. Like, that's that
Mm.
first step. You get some people dealing with chronic disease, cancers, and it's like, yeah, um, I'm so grateful for the information. I really didn't know this. I've been able to self recover, and now I've been able to put myself into remission. The information you're sharing is so much better than like my aftercare team. So I just think because the pharmaceutical industry is so focused on um, alleviating the symptoms or intervention at a real chronic stage, that education to understand how to prevent getting there is so often missed. So to be able to fill that gap, I think, is kind of the real purpose of MagicTree. So being able to scale that message and help more people, not necessarily even with the products, but to help them understand the steps that can be taken to go on a self-healing journey, a self-diagnosing journey. I think that's kind of what motivates me, and that's the dream, to say if we could get global, that would be amazing.
My. Wow. That is a, how can I say, a tall order to fill. And like, this is the thing. Like, it's not like, for me right now with our like conversation, it sounds like you're running by yourself currently. Maybe a little bit of tech support by a nameless lady, but we won't go into that. Yeah, but
No,
yeah,
I've got a great team. So yeah, tech support slash Jade slash partner, life partner
there
slash
you
head of
go.
marketing slash. There's a lot of different hats. So yeah, so my girlfriend Jade, she was my first hire. So she joined in November. Oh, I think it was actually Aprilish last year, and then that
Mm.
role's kind of grown and expanded since then. And then we've got, yeah, so the team's expanded naturally over time. So we've got fulfillment partners based in Yeovil, so they're great. We've got a few ads, different ads agencies that have been working as well with us. Accountant. So yeah, the team kind of, and then obviously our suppliers as well across the world. So um, yeah, I suppose I don't do all the work, but you're responsible ultimately as the owner. So if something goes wrong, you haven't really got anyone. You can blame the person you've hired, you can blame
Mm.
the supplier, the consultant, but ultimately it's your problem. So you have to wear the hat, wear the responsibility, and embrace that responsibility.
Indeed, indeed. Like, to get this started, like, well, to start any business venture, you do need money to get it work up and running. How did you get investment from a bank? Did you save? How did you get that started? Because many people don't understand.
Yeah, I think depends on the type of business you're trying to do. Like if it's a tech company and you don't know how to code software, you probably will need to raise some money to get that built, because you're looking at tens of thousands to build that community, to build that infrastructure. I mean, I say fortunately, I intentionally went in with a product that I knew I could afford to test at a low cost. Um, So yeah, originally it just started with moringa seeds. My dad had brought them back from the Caribbean, so I knew these things. I knew where I could get them. I knew how I could get them, and I knew um, the cost wasn't going to bankrupt me. I think it cost a few £100s to
Mm.
buy, to bring it in, test a few different suppliers, and get that kind of up and running. With the technology nowadays, you can build a website yourself without needing to be a tech guru. I mean, I didn't know anything about website building, but with a few YouTube videos, a bit of trial and error, you can get something that's functional. I think there's a misconception that, yeah, the reason I can't sell my product is my website's not good enough, or my packaging's not good enough, or um, my marketing isn't good enough. But realistically, if the product is right, you should be able to sell it to a small group at not necessarily even profitable, but at least break even. That should be like or organically, you should be able to make a video and people watch it and they're like, oh, I see the use for this, let me buy it. So depending on the product, if it's something you're actually developing, like a new, like developing like a new product to the market, then that will require some investment. But if it's something that's a lower cost, then I think it's a lot more manageable to do it. I was able to do it with my 9 to 5, and I probably spent um, probably maybe £2,000 to kind of get it to a point where websites built, products there, packaging's there. Not when I say there, ready to sell. Nothing what it is now, but ready to sell. I can invest a few £100s into some Facebook ads to see if anyone's interested. Now you don't even need to do that. You can just make organic videos. Um, but yeah, I'd say for that kind of product, generally it would take about £1,000, £2,000, but just a lot of hours and work. You can spend 20,000 doing it, and you'll have a nicer, cleaner product from the get go. But if your product isn't right, it does take time to develop that product market fit. And I think the cheaper you can do that, the less likely you are to die early, effectively. Um, and there's lots of schemes and grants out there as well. I didn't take advantage of them, but there are a lot, especially in BAME communities as well. There's BAME specific funding opportunities. I know a few of my friends have been able to raise £5,000, £10,000 doing that as well. So, and they're grants as well. So it's not even a loan; it's free money effectively. Um, but yeah, I say if the product is right, you can find the money because it depends who you are, but you've got angel investors, you can ask family, you can ask friends, you can partner with someone. Because even if you need to build something that you don't necessarily have the technical expertise, instead of paying for a tech person to do it, you just partner with a tech person, and then you can get that off the ground a lot cheaper. So there's creative ways to do it. The more creative you are, the cheaper it is, I'd say, broadly
Yeah,
speaking.
no, I hear that. Yeah, because like this is the thing. One of the things I like about what you just said, it's like you when you started everything, it was like you were just taking a little taste, if like before like sitting down for the whole entire meal. Because what a lot of people get, well, one of the things a lot of people do, like I need to take a big bite out of this sort of like sector or that sector. And if they haven't had any sort of real experience or like being a sort of business doing this, it's like going, you might take a bite and it might be like raw chocolate. It doesn't taste good. You're like, it's chocolate. No, it's raw chocolate. It doesn't taste good. And you'll be surprised at what will come along with that, and they get shocked quite easily into like going, "Ah, this is not what I expected," and they crash, burn, and fail. And it's but it's true though, and like yeah, sort of taking that small bite and yeah, building slowly but surely. It's got you to a stage where yeah, you got people who are working for you. Might not be on a large scale, but like there are many people out there who run alone and never get anyone to sort of help them along. Because the old proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Mm.
Like, you know, it's just it's one of those things which sometimes frustrates when I hear some people talk about the whole sort of business thing. It's like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm doing this. And they'll spout off a lot of nonsense. And I'm like, that's not necessarily true. I'm no business guru, but from what I've seen,
Mm.
there's enough success out there where you can go, but that person did it like this, and that person did it like this. Circumstances are different, but you know what I mean. They got their like businesses up and running. Now, what would you say was something which surprised you when you got started?
Good question. It surprised me when I got started. I'd probably say, I mean, there's lots of surprises along the way. Probably
Mm.
how hard it is to actually get a sale, one sale. I think, especially with all the YouTube videos you see nowadays of, make $10,000 in 3 hours while sleeping. um, you know, there's a misconception that people are just waiting to give you their money or queuing up to give you their money and buy your product that you've just bought from Alibaba that you put no effort into thinking or designing. So
Mm.
um, I think because I'd had a few businesses before, I kind of had an appreciation for people aren't queuing up to give you money. But I think whenever you're starting something new, that first sale is always like, oh, someone actually saw my thing that I invented or I put into the world, and they've parted with their hard-earned cash that they worked hard for to because they believe in my vision. So I think the difficulty of that is often overlooked, or the difficulty in creating a product that can make someone do that amongst all the competition is often overlooked.
Mm.
Um, so I'm not sure if that's a surprise. Well, initially, as an entrepreneur, that's a surprise. That was a surprise because it goes against all the rhetoric you see online. But then the other thing I'd say is more just how the biggest surprise is how volatile the journey is and the unexpected slaps in the face. I thought once I've established, say, so I went viral on TikTok. I was like, cool. Now I've got my followers. So that means every time I post a video, it's gonna go to all those people. Not all those people, but even if you make percentages, it's gonna go to 20% of my followers. Then, if only 10% of those people that like the video buy something, then that means I'm gonna be making X in the video. And it's like, oh no, those expectations were way off. Cut all those, cut all those in 10. So then you have to rebase and think, okay, what am I going to do next? Okay, I've got my affiliate network. So I've got my affiliates. I've got 1,000 of them. So if 10 of them are half decent and can make X amount a week, then that means I'm going to be, no, it's even less than that. That actually turn out to be. So whatever your expectations are, half it and half it again is what I've learned. And then that's probably a safe bet. Um, so yeah, constantly having to rebase my expectations based on what you would think is normal and what you would think percentage of conversion rates are just don't tend to be real in what I've
Mm.
seen. Maybe it's just a me specific thing, but it seems to be similar with friends as well. So yeah, that's probably the biggest surprise.
Yeah, no, I hear you because this is the thing. In theory, anything in theory is practically possible. Yeah, I've got 100,000 people what follow me on TikTok. Great. Yeah, if 10% or if 5%, yeah, and then if 5% of that number buys this, and when you play it all out, it's easy enough. The get practice is practice, but the game's the game, and what
Mm-hmm.
happens in the game is totally different. And yeah, from what I've seen, if I was a true practitioner in it all, I'd most probably be sitting on some cloud right now, going, going, I know it all, or oh my god, get me back to the 9 to 5. You know what I mean? We shall see, we shall see. But this is the thing, that's another thing I always find with anyone who is I'm an entrepreneur. They rarely start with it's really this is the start business they had.
Mm.
You mentioned yeah, you had another couple of businesses you started. What were those businesses?
So one was, I mean, yeah. So one was a first one was I remember how the title now. I was a broker of artistic animal horns, which is as rogue as it sounds. So there's actually a pretty big community on Instagram
Okay.
of so bovidae animal type group. So buffalo, cows, sheep. Um, so when they die, usually naturally, you repurpose the animal horns. So you take the horns and then you decorate them. So you might paint them, you might carve them. So yeah, like artistic horns. And yeah, they go for about depending who you are, but between $500 to $4,000. So I was I was a broker, so connecting artists to buyers.
Uh,
Um, so I was doing that for. This was like a post uni summer project, I'd say. So it was probably about 6 months. I was working pretty hard on it, as in waking up every day, follow, 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 unfollow, one. Really trying to grow this Instagram page. Got to about 10,000 followers, but yeah, it. Well, eventually I realized that there's not enough liquidity in this market of artistic horns for a broker to make a living. But what it did teach me was that kind of cold DMing and messaging on social media, because that's like something I do a lot now, and is a big part of it.
mm,
That perseverance to get up and do something every day, which is slow returns, but hopefully going to lead to something in the long run. How to manage relationships as well, because you're managing the sellers and the buyers and managing expectations, especially when the shipping was very difficult, and it's kind of usually from South Africa to another continent. So yeah, there was a lot learned from that venture, even though I made probably 20 quid in the whole 6 months. But coming from zero entrepreneurial background, even that first 20 quid was like, I got a
mm,
sale. Like I built something, made something, built my following, and I've connected two people, and that guy loves his horn. That's their first sale because they were just doing it as a hobby. So yeah, that entrepreneurial fire was probably lit then. But then when pivoted that, so then I started a card game business. So this was again another passion project, I would say, from uni. A friend had an idea, or as an art project, was taking pictures of body parts, close-up pictures of body parts, and I was just like, oh, that would make a cool game if you had to like guess what that body part was. So I ended up fleshing that out into a whole business, which lasted about 2 years. So that was the first time kind of making, or the pathway to making useful money, I would say. So that business probably had revenue of around 50,000 or something over 2 years, maybe.
mm.
Um, so that like lit the dream and inspiration of kind of a business can take me out of a 9 to 5, because I was still doing a 9 to 5 then, but it was like we can actually make real money here. Like there's sales going frequently. It's like, oh, okay. Um, and it also taught me, because that was with my brother and my girlfriend. So yeah, it taught me about like board structures, how to divide the work up, how to make sure everyone's incentivized, especially when everyone's got a job on the side as well, and who's putting the money in, all this kind of stuff. So lots of lessons learned there. Lots of lessons learned in terms of retail and how to get into that. Lots of lessons learned with social media advertising, because again, was doing it all ourselves, branding, marketing, wearing all the hats. So yeah, like you say, most people, and this may not be my last business. Well, I'd like to think it won't be my last business either, but usually you kind of try and learn lessons, and if you fail, I suppose the aim is don't go bankrupt. Even if you do, you probably do learn lessons that way as well. But yeah, my approach was kind of, if you're doing something, what are you learning? And as soon as you stop learning, that's the time to pivot, and do something else which you're higher conviction on. Um, so yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Now this is the thing. One of the things which okay was looking at looked at your TikTok page and was like, you have got a substantial number, uh, which you've acquired over I don't know what period of time, but it seems like you've been busy on that. Like with regards to sort of doing the marketing, you like mentioned you were DMing people, like doing the slow path, but you were yeah, but you also mentioned that yeah, when you went viral, you thought yeah, this is it, but it didn't quite work out. Like, what would you say is been some of the most effective marketing you found uh, starting up your businesses?
Yeah, I think it changes over time, and I think the most important thing is to be dynamic and nimble, and not spread yourself too thin across like every platform, thinking you have to be everywhere. It's more just winning on one platform. Um, so yeah, with the first business, marketing was yeah, like I say, just DMing people on Instagram, and it was solely Instagram. Was able to build a decent following at the time. I guess it's been inflation since then. That was back in 2018.
Mm.
So yeah, that was like I said, I didn't really make any money, so whether that marketing was effective or not, different question.
You got
But
20 pounds. You got 20 pounds.
certainly something. So and then yeah, for the next business again, that was kind of paid ads marketing, which at the time was 2020, was still effective, but getting a bit harder. But that taught me a bit there. Cold emailing as well to try and get into retail. Had a little bit of success there. And then a bit pop up shows as well, pop up stands. So a bit of experience doing that. And then this business, yeah, like I say with the TikTok. So originally, kind of tried to take what I was doing before. So slow trying to build an Instagram, slow paid marketing, which wasn't very profitable. And it was actually my girlfriend who said, just do TikTok. This was in 2021 or yeah, maybe
Hmm.
2022. So in my head, TikTok was just a silly app for kids doing dances or bad dances. So I was all very resistant. No, no, I'm better than TikTok. I'm not a TikTok brand. I don't want to be a TikTok brand. Um, but I'm not even sure why. But one day I gave in, made I didn't even bother making a post. I just reposted a video I was already doing on Instagram on TikTok,
Yeah.
and then it was like didn't do anything, maybe 1,000 views, and it was like oh, whatever. um, but for some reason, just kept doing it, posted, and then I was probably quite lucky on my fourth video. That one got 200,000 views, and then it actually brought sales in. Maybe made £500 of sales or something from that one video, maybe a bit more. But on day one, maybe it was £500 from that one video, and I was like, oh, okay, it's actually viable. It's not just an app for silly dances. It can actually make revenue. So then I spent the next, we actually counted the other day, spent the next 122 days posting every day, and with rubbish views, 1,000 views, 2,000 views, 500 views. Um, and then I noticed, well, then I changed, because for those 122 days, I was just trying to post trends, follow the TikTok trends basically, not really adding any value to the platform. And then try to start pivoting the content for more education led content where it's yeah, take these 5 foods to help your XYZ, or
Mm.
stop eating these foods because they're pro-inflammatories, that kind of stuff. And then I noticed then the average views started to increase a lot. I wasn't just shooting for a viral video. I was actually trying to contribute value and help people on the platform. And that's when things really started to change. So yeah, on that 123rd video, that one got I think a million or 3 million views. Um, and then that was kind of the start of it being a viable business, because that one video maybe made 10,000 or something, 10, 20,000. And then it was okay, how do we do this again? What's the formula? So then we tried to formularize that process, and then was able to do that over the next 6 months. Um, Different products, different videos, switching styles up. I was able to get a million views and different on TikTok for the next 6 months, and then repost that on Instagram. That would also do well. Repost it on Facebook. That would do well. So I was able to create a bit of an organic chain that was able to build the following across different platforms, generate revenue, and kind of catapulted the business or kickstarted the business last year into something that could support yeah, me and Jade to leave our jobs towards the back end of last year.
My mind. Like, wow. Like, this is the thing. When you said 10 to 20, was that 10 to 20,000 pounds off that video? Or like,
Yeah, probably. I mean, you don't really, because the video it might get 100,000 views the first day, then another
mm,
100,000 views the second day, then 200,000 the next day, then 50,000. So the video probably lives for about 2 to 3 weeks of getting various amount of views, and you're obviously posting new videos at the same time. So you can't attribute exactly how much that one video was made, but that first million views, yeah, that was probably 15, 20,000 from that one video. But that's why I say it's important to adapt with the times, because nowadays, if you get a million views, it wouldn't generate that much money generally. Depends on the video, depends on the product, depends why people like the video. If people like the video because the product's amazing, then it will get more sales. If it's because you're, eating it fun, doing something a bit weird, it probably won't translate to sales as much. But um, yeah, for the first half of last year, that ability to go viral and monetize off that was great. Now it's a lot more difficult, harder to go viral, more competition, more sellers on TikTok, on social media generally, so that they don't translate as well. But it's definitely still a model that works, but not quite as lucrative.
yeah, no, like I think with TikTok lately, with the TikTok stores, there's a lot of people which have gone quite QVC with
Mm,
their TikTok accounts, and it's like, I can understand how that could be difficult. But like, this is the thing, being able to to go viral. Sometimes people are like, yeah, go viral. It's do it once, you got lucky. Do it twice, hmm. Do it three times or four. Like you, there must have been something you've seen in the sort of the power of the algorithm.
uh, I say that first one is a bit of luck. I mean, you're always just kind of looking at what is going viral at the same time. So it could be something in a completely different area or niche, and then you're just like, well, the thing that made that, it's understanding what made that video go viral. So if it was, they've got a weird accent and that's why it went viral. It could be something as simple as that. Could be because of the way they've displayed the information. So the message could be as simple as "Don't eat these 5 foods,"
Mm.
but if you write it on a whiteboard and then reveal a sticker to reveal it, that could make it go viral. If you throw the food on the table and say "Don't eat this," that could be the thing that's making it go viral. So or it could be with makeup. One of the videos was with makeup. I saw a video where the person was like swiping, so it'd be use this cream or 5 creams to use in my morning routine, and it'd be a nice swipe ASMR kind of type video. And I was like,
Mm.
well, I could do that with my products because they're similar enough, or they have the same effect. Did that, and they got a few 100,000 views. So it's not all creative. Well, there's not much creative genius to be honest. It's more analytics, seeing what's working, putting your own spin on it, putting your own voice on it, making sure you're actually adding value and not just copying. And it doesn't work every time. Really, you probably works one in 30. So if I'm posting every day, that gives me a 1 in 30 chance of going viral every month. And then I'm posting on 3 different platforms. That gives me a 1 in 90 chance of posting every month. So when most people post once or twice a week on one platform, you've only got 1 in 8. So I'm already starting off 1 in 90, so or 90 chances to do it. So 10 times more likely just from the get go.
See, the maths is coming into play there, people. It's like, yeah, he's crunched the numbers, got the figures. Liking it. Like, I have to ask, like, with what you just said, like, not before what helped all of this marketing led to you being able to leave both of you to leave your jobs. Now, what was like, would you be able to say, was it a specific figure you had in mind, which was your exit number? Or was it a case of, yeah, it, you just saw, this is the moment, we got to go?
Um, I mean, I suppose the exit number. So okay, I mapped out what do I need to live because I
Mhm.
realized I could get a promotion at work and I could get an extra £200-300 in my pay packet, obviously after tax as well. Like in terms of even if I got a £10,000 pay rise in the office, it's only translating to say £500 extra a month after tax. And realistically, what am I doing with that £500 a month? My life isn't really going to change. I'm not going to be buying private jets or be going to nothing that I cared about was really going to change. So then I realized, well, what am I actually working all these extra hours for? And it's just to go on to slightly nicer dinners or to go to holidays or nothing that I could still do the holidays. So it wasn't really meaningfully impacting my life. So then it became, right, what do I actually care about? What do I really want to be spending my time doing? Or if I could get 8 hours a day back or 10 hours a day back not working, what would I really want to do with what's the essentials basically? So I mapped that out and it turned out I needed, I think it was £1,900 a month to live a life where I could. Fortunately, I don't enjoy spending loads of money and going out and buying bottles and all that kind of stuff. So for me, as long as I can do my sport, as long as I've got my gym membership, I play football, do a bit of climbing, play a bit of basketball, date night a couple of times a month, and a holiday once or twice a year. That's all I really, I'd say, need or want at that time. The rest is I'd rather not work 8 hours a day to do that. Um, so when I said that, it was like okay, 1,900. That's pretty doable. Um, so like I say, it was in December we had that first viral video. So that was a surreal moment when it's like, oh, 20,000 coming in a few days or a few weeks, I guess. I was like, probably luck. Won't do that again. So in January it was like, oh damn, it's happened again. February it was like, oh damn, it's happened again. So at this point, probably making more money from the business than I was on the day job. And it's at that point it kind of feels like, well, don't really need don't need to be here. It's just making sure it's sustainable and making sure you're not reliant on having to get 1 million views every month, because that's not easy or in your control. Let's say. Um, so then it became that started the clock of, all right, I've got some cash now from those viral videos. Fantastic. How can I build systems? How can I make this sustainable revenue so that if I do quit the job, I've at least got 6 month runoff where if I have to go back and get a job after that, hey, it's like 6 months off work. Fantastic. Um, so that's what, yeah, then it was like a 3 month trying to build a subscription model, trying to build email marketing, trying to build ads to come in to just diversify the revenue stream, trying to build affiliates, trying to build our TikTok shop, all these different things. Um, and then, so yeah, I left first in June. And that was a very much a culture shock. That was very surreal. Kind of, you don't realize how much it is going to impact your perspective on life broadly, because you do spend so much time in the office and working, and like your perspective is very much in how do I get promoted, how do I step up the ladder, and once you strip all that back, it really forces you to think, what do I actually care about? Like, what do I actually want to spend my time doing? What do I want my output to be? A lot of things, yeah, it's easy to not have to ask yourself those questions when you're in a laid out, structured, get promoted. That's the next objective. So, yeah, that was an interesting to adapt to over the kind of a 3 month period. And then Jade decided to leave in December. So again, that was kind of a conversation. Well, how much money do you actually need? What can you go without? What's important? I mapped that out, got to a number, and then it was like, okay, what role justifies that number? It's not charity. So, and then we carved out a role that made sense for everyone. And yeah, trying to not don't get too high, don't get too low. Just take 1 month at a time, and just take every month that we don't have to work as a blessing, and enjoy it whilst it's here, which is easier said than done. Easier said than done sometimes when it's a stressful business. Entrepreneurship is, like I say, slaps you in the face and it chews you up, spits you out. So, but I do love what I do. Do love the passion and the journey that we're on. So, I think there's a there's a youthful excitement inside of me that really doesn't know where things will be in a year's time, and I think that's part of the fun. But I think, yeah, with a 9 to 5, you can kind of guess where things are going to be, or there's a fairly narrow window of where you're going to be in the next 12 months. Whereas with this, I could be dead broke or super rich or somewhere in between. All things are possible. So that's quite exciting to me. Maybe there's something wrong with me, but that's quite exciting to me.
No, no, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. No, I won't say that at all. Like, I think everyone needs to have a little bit of crazy in them to get through the world in this day and age. But yeah, I have to ask. This will more than likely be one of my last questions for you. Now, if there was a message you could give yourself, your future self, 5 years from now, or expectation, what would that be?
A message I could give myself 5 years from now, as in me today talking to me in 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, I would say, fo- yeah, follow your interests. So if you want to do something, just do it. So as in, like I said before, me starting or me getting into health and diet, I didn't care about what I ate. It was always an afterthought. It was like, if I'm exercising, I can eat crap, I can eat processed food, I can eat fried food, and whatever. If the price is, I'll die at 70 rather than 80. No big deal, because I'm not going to be doing too much at 70 anyway. That was kind of my mindset going into it. Um, but because I'm just having an open mindset to be curious, be follow your interest. Once I started researching, okay, what does a moringa seed do? Oh, it increases energy. How does it increase energy? Oh, it's rich in minerals. Oh, okay, what do minerals do? Oh, they're essential for cellular function. Oh, okay. What's the importance of each individual cell? Oh, they make up these systems. Oh, right. So how does cancer form? Oh, that's when cells don't work, or cells in a particular area of the body don't work. So it's like when you just dig a little deeper and continue to be curious and ask questions, then you can understand things in a completely different way and tie your knowledge together, which brings you into whole different realms. Like if you asked me 3 years ago when I was working as a real estate analyst and said now I'm a naturopath, I just said, what? That's completely adjacent to anything I'm interested in. So, but you just never know where life's going to take you. So I think being open to opportunities, um, saying yes where you can, and just be follow where your curiosity wants to take you. And if you stop caring about something, it's okay to pivot. It's not like you're just because you're doing something now doesn't mean I have to be doing it in 5 years. Just because I say I care about something now doesn't mean I have to care about it tomorrow. Um, I'm actively always actively challenge what you care about, what you're interested in, and what your purpose is. Because the more you challenge it, the more either you'll change it to something you have higher conviction in, or you'll just end up with higher conviction to do that thing. So, yeah, that's quite roundabout, but I think that's what I would say.
Excellent. Remember that because like this is the thing. The slings and arrows life throws at us sometimes like does like take us off course and basically takes us to some strange parts in life or where we didn't expect to go. And sometimes it's very hard to like stand true, stand strong, and like follow it through. But you know what I mean? If you can remember the reason why you got into it, why you like decided to go forward with this, why, or your expectations of how you'll get there, boy, who knows?
Anything's possible.
Guys, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Like, I have no more questions to ask you at this present time. But yeah, I'd love to have you back sometime. But yeah, how can people find you out there in this big wide world, in this interwebs of things?
Yeah, yeah. So for all things natural healing, natural herbs, all of that content, or everything business, it is MagicTree underscore Superfoods on Instagram, Twitter, not Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And then for all things kind of more personal CEO, business, entrepreneurship related, that's Journal of a CEO on TikTok. So funny you mentioned Stephen Bartlett. Nothing to do with
Mm.
MagicTree
It's like a
though.
it's like Journal of a CEO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Completely original.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Love it. Yes, like all the information, all of that will be in the show notes. So please check it out. Yes, finally here, and yes, his journey of a journal of a CEO. I love that. Yeah, so, Lee, thank you for coming on today. You have been superb,
Yeah,
superb.
thanks for a great conversation.
Thank you. Yes. And I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us all the way to the end of the show. Please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day, guys. Yes. Peace. Oh, yeah. We are out.